Welcome back to the Inside Out Shift. I'm your host, Evgenia Baikova, leadership coach and business strategist. And this is the space where we talk about what it really looks like to build work and life that feel more aligned, more honest, and more like your own. And today I'm joined by Rebecca Bormann, founder and CEO of RB Consulting Agency. And Rebecca brings more than 20 years of experience in sales, marketing, and business development. And today she helps organizations grow through people-first strategy, and I love it, stronger messaging and meaningful client relationships. Her work sits in the intersection of growth, trust, and real business development, helping organizations communicate their value clearly and build momentum in a way that actually supports sales. She is also a passionate advocate for advancing opportunities for women and minorities in business and STEM. And over the years, she has served in boards and advisory roles with a number of organizations that support leadership, visibility, and growth. And Rebecca's leadership has been recognized in many different ways, including being named the 2025 Noble Women Business Owner of the Year. And what I really appreciate about her is that she brings both strategy and heart to the table. Well, Rebecca, I'm so glad you're here today. Welcome.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful to have this time to chat with you and just appreciate you hosting me. So thank you.
Thank you. And let's start here.
Okay.
Well, I know that you spent many years in 9-to-5 world. So after that, when did you begin to feel that your values and the work you were doing were no longer fully matching?
Actually, I love the way that you phrased that question because that's exactly it. It just wasn't matching anymore. I had an amazing corporate career until I didn't. It's a lot of times how I say it. I spent lots of years working for global technology firms, leading business development and sales teams, serving Fortune 100 and government organizations. And it was extremely fulfilling work. I loved that we were working with these clients that had these complicated problems, and I got to be a part of bringing the team together to solve them, which was really fun. And then getting to see, the other side, the outcome, the transformation that we provided that helped them serve their clients better or made things easier for their employees, like a number of different things, right? And as I don't have to share, but I'll point out, technology is a majorly male-dominated field, like so many industries, right? I realize that it's not the only one. There's many out there.
Yeah.
And
one of many, yeah.
Yeah. And there came a point where I was ready for additional challenges, for additional visibility into the business so I could do my job better. And the time and title, right, that came along with all of that. And I kept on being promised, oh, it'll come, just not yet, sort of thing. But there felt like there was this big wall that wasn't going to let me cross into the C-suite. And I was ready for that. I was doing the work for that with not all the tools, not all the access, not everything I needed to do it. And I just became a little disheartened, right? That for some reason, nobody else looked like me in the C-suite. And it felt like I was being blocked from getting there. And that, when you don't feel valued and you don't feel like you're treated the same, that starts to wear on you. So it was a hard choice. I loved my clients. I loved so many of my teammates. There were some great leaders. Also, I have so many leaders that poured into me also throughout my career, but I was just ready for something different. And so I started my consulting company to help folks with sales and some marketing and really strategy work. And that became a problem for my job, even though men were allowed to have consulting side hustles, another thing that didn't align. And we hit a crossroads and it ended up with me moving into entrepreneurship full time. And while I love the training consulting, as I kind of already alluded to, I love really getting my hands in and getting into that deep strategy work. And then what's the plan and how do we execute on that? So we quickly moved into a marketing agency where we get to practice the strategy and the execution piece of the solutions for our clients.
Yeah, well, I love this story. You know that this is so interesting. Like just yesterday, I submitted my speaker application for one conference. I don't know if I will be chosen or not, but well, the topic that I suggested, like how you can ruin your career by being approachable, agreeable, yeah, and trustworthy because, well, you know everything, but somehow you are overlooked.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned the wall. And this is exactly situations that actually we are building like ourselves, not seeing the problem. Yeah. Interesting.
That's exactly it. I was always the one that said, we don't have anyone to do this. And I was like, I'll figure that out. I can do this. I raise my hand all the time. And I didn't realize until it became really apparent that they weren't like, that wasn't actually always helpful to me because they're like, oh, no one else is doing it. Rebecca will just do it. Rebecca will just do it. And we don't have to pay her more and we don't have to do this more and she'll just work more hours. And it ended up being a bit of a hindrance. So I think there's a balance to that. I'm not saying this isn't saying don't ever raise your hand for like, something outside of your comfort zone or outside of your job description. But I think you have to be thoughtful about that and intentional and to not let folks take advantage of that.
And it seems like you're talking about having a strategy and being able to market yourself better, right? It's like marketing and strategy together.
Yeah.
And you shared that the story that it seems like you've been an expert inside established organization. But I'm just wondering, what was it like to step out and build something which is actually under your own name?
Yeah. Maybe the most terrifying and exciting thing that I've done as far as my career went. I never had any like dreams or visions of being an entrepreneur. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, my career path, I would have told you I was going to be the CEO of some technology company at some point. I thought I was just going to continue in the corporate world. So I really took a leap of faith to start this business. And I did a lot of learning and a lot of asking questions and a lot of going to mentors and trusted advisors that have done this, that have been entrepreneurs, that have successfully exited. I went to a lot of classes. Mid-States is a wonderful organization around here that supports minority businesses. So women, minority, ethnic minority. They had a great program called Accelerate 100, where it was all kinds of entrepreneurs. And we got to like learn the things that you need to learn to build a business. I took some classes at Kelly around financial strategy, business strategy. That was through the Mid-States program too. And I just take one step and then the next one starts to kind of reveal itself. And I also am someone that can pivot, right? So not every choice I made was the right choice for the long haul. And I'm okay with adapting, with moving, with switching around. I mean, even I told you I started doing some sales training consulting and I was like, man, this is not what I want to do 40 hours a week for the next 10 years. So I had to create a business that would fulfill that and provide opportunities for other people to have employment and work in their gifts and talents. 3.5 years in, it's less scary, but still equally exciting.
Yeah, I totally get it. And you know that you just mentioned that you were learning things, right? But also you brought your experience, skills, and probably connections into your business. And sometimes, I'm observing that we women, what we do, we are canceling our previous experience, talking about ourselves like, well, I'm a baby coach. I'm a baby entrepreneur. I'm a baby that, like, I'm new to that. And like, it's nothing happened to us and we didn't work, we didn't negotiate. We were not like, in that meetings, in that tough conversations. And sometimes we are overlooking our skills and experience. So my question to you is, what is one skill from the earlier career days that may have seemed like ordinary at that time, but has become one of your biggest strengths in business?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I agree with you too. A lot of times women maybe are a little too humble with their skills. I think you're right. I see it in conversations all the time and do my best to try and call it out just like you do and say, hey, you don't have to qualify that. You're really good at what you do. Absolutely, sales is a huge skill that I built in the corporate world that is so important as an entrepreneur. And since that's what I did for 20 some years, it seemed kind of simple to your point. And I'm realizing that those are not skills that every entrepreneur has, and why they actually need to hire organizations like mine. Same with, I learned young in my career that marketing is like a system. It's all these connected pieces that, that work together. And that's a great skill that we use in our business to help our clients. A lot of organizations are very tactic based. Like someone said I should start a newsletter. Someone said I should, do social
we'll
media.
be talking about that.
Yes. And while those are all great things, there's a way to build that system so it all feeds and helps each other. When things are isolated, you don't get the traction that you're hoping to get. But when you build a system, that's where we can increase the visibility. We can help maybe those sales conversations aren't quite as difficult the very first conversation because they've gotten the information they needed to from some of the digital platforms or from speaking out in public, things like that. So that's a huge one. And then I know you only asked for one, but I'm going to give you three. I got one more.
That's perfect.
I think, I always worked in sort of a team selling environment, right? I was working with like solution architects and engineers, and like working in this team environment, my whole corporate career, like there are so many lessons that I've brought into leading my team now that have been they're irreplaceable, right? And I don't know, given a different corporate, setting, if I would have learned all of those skills to bring them to my team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and thank you for sharing. And you know that we are bringing good things from our past, but also, sometimes like some things are like we have to unlearn them, I would say. And if you can talk about the thing that talk about something that was like a kind of an employee mindset or corporate habit that you really had to let go of when you became an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that I had to let go of or start doing is like I got to dream a lot bigger as an entrepreneur. When there was a problem that we were looking to fix in the corporate world, there was a lot of parameters on like what you could and could not do to like fix something. And sometimes I can catch myself kind of being like really process driven, given my technology background, which is a good thing in some cases. And being an entrepreneur, having my own business, like we can adapt or change processes whenever we want to, if it makes sense for our client, if it makes sense for our team, like if it makes sense financially, all the things like, so letting go of like having to follow this like structure all the time has been great. Once I realized that's what was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, we can change this whenever we want to.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing this because, I still remember my conversation with my coach, and she was just my life coach, but she mentioned to me, well, that this is the essence of being an entrepreneur. You can change your decision like tomorrow. You can pivot. You can even go in a different direction because this is just you who is making the decision. That's if you don't like that, well, change that. And thank you for talking about that. And you were talking about all that noise that exists, like you have to get your newsletter done. You have to use that channels. So my question to you, how do you stay grounded and trust your own expertise and process so that you are not pulled into every other trends?
Yeah. I think a few things to answer that question. For me, being grounded is definitely keeping my faith like at the front. That's the biggest thing for me, because the Lord will give us like supernatural peace, right? Especially when we're in alignment, following the path. And I think one of the other things is also to, I think we've got to build in the time in our schedules that we need to like decompress or reset, so we show up as our fullest selves every day. I'm one of those folks that I'm pretty high energy, which means that when there's a lot going on, I can get kind of anxious in that, like, oh my God, all these things have to be done right now. Thank God we're not like brain surgeons or anything at RB Consulting. So like, it's really typically not like life or death. But you know, I you know, when I make the time to like quiet my mind, to refill myself up, then I have a better sense of, okay, how do we actually prioritize this? Like, what's urgent, what's important, what's urgent and important, what's on this list that probably actually doesn't need to be done at all. And, you know, so we can cross it off. So for me, that's, I love yoga. I try to practice 2 to 3 times a week. Now that the weather's getting nice here in Indianapolis, I love flower gardening. So to go tinker out in my flower beds, pull weeds, snip flowers, make little bouquets, you know, to share or put in my house, that's really like cathartic for me. But we have to schedule that, just like we schedule podcast recordings and client meetings. Like, it is literally in my calendar, or it won't happen.
Yes. And you know that, thank you for talking about that, because my next question will be about the balance. And I totally agree that if you don't have something planned, that will never happen. Like, never. But you know, that was a really funny story about myself. My March was crazy. I even name it like my personal March Madness. I had so many facilitations and speaking at the conferences, and I decided, okay, March 31st will be my day off. No, you know what I did?
What?
I put 5 meetings on the day.
That does not
like
sound
I couldn't stop.
friends.
Like you were sharing, like I have to.
Yeah.
I have to be there and here. It's like fear of missing out. Why?
Yeah.
And yeah, the balance. I would say that everyone has a special understanding of the balance, right? So what means balance to you is this. What means balance for me probably couldn't work for you, right? So, and we were talking with one guest about the level of stress, because, well, you need to have that in your life to be like to function, right? So probably for you it's that high. I cannot see that high. For someone else it's just like, you know, 3 out of 10. You never know. So, and we are talking about the balance a lot, right? So if we can think about the balance for you and life, because, well, you are not building your life around your business. Yeah, business is part of your life. So how that, like, what's the perfect balance for you?
I think it changes, honestly. I actually love the word harmony. I read a book years ago by Lisa Nichols. The name of the book escapes me, but it talked about this word balance kind of gives us this false perception that, like, you know, 20% should be at work, 20% should be at home, 20% should be, you know, with your family, 20% should be this, that, and the other. And my life doesn't work that way. So I kind of like this word harmony. And for me, like, there's busier times in my business, just like you went through your March Madness. And we have times where we're onboarding 4 new clients, or we have a huge campaign, or for, you know, for a client, or some, you know, something is going on that makes it more urgent, more important things, like in a certain period of time. And for me, like, the word harmony kind of lets that flow, and it's okay. You know, like, if 1 week I worked, you know, 60 hours, or maybe it's a whole month where I was working 60 or 70 hours a month. I'm also going to take some time when it slows down. I love to travel also, right? So I've typically got a trip on my calendar, and I know I have that time to look forward to, where, guess what? Maybe that week, maybe I'm only going to do like 8 hours of work, you know, because I'm going to check in on some few things and whatever, but I'm going to, you know, that disconnect time is coming. So that's huge for me, is to kind of roll with the
Mhm.
seasons,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
have. And
Exactly.
life is unpredictable, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
shared with you earlier this year, I had a surgery. I
Mhm.
had no idea I was going to
Yeah.
have that surgery. And like, I had to figure out, how do we still run this business? How do I have this surgery? How do I allow myself to heal? But just kind of, you know, it all worked out great. My team, I'm blessed to have like an amazing team. They did some extra things. They took on some extra responsibilities while I was out. And, I'd be thoughtful about that too, to make sure that they get their time,
Yeah.
when they've put in, some extra here and there. So maybe it's, half days or some lunches where we
Mhm.
literally like just get to disconnect and talk, and not have to work while we're eating
Mhm.
lunch, sort of thing. But for me, that's what it is. I don't know, it's more like seasons, and you kind
Yeah.
of like figure out
It-
how to make it work for that season, instead of trying to plan out a whole 12 months or 5 years or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and yeah, life is lifing, right? You
Yeah,
cannot
that's right.
predict some other things, like, well, especially if you have family or you have team, right? Anything could happen with them or for them, right? So you never know. And again, you are right with seasons, like busy seasons and slowing down seasons, like summer. I don't know, for so many of us, summer will be slow. And I like that framework of harmony, because this is for you to create it. Like, you're not following some rules, right? You're just following, so I need this, that's why I will cut some hours here, but I will add something here, and you are happy with that because you are controlling the thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so have you ever noticed yourself slipping back into that busy mode, and if so, what helped you shift out of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is absolutely yes. And not just with work, but I'm involved in the community, and I love being involved in the community and different nonprofits. And I can definitely be guilty of saying yes to a lot of
Mhm,
things.
mhm,
And then I'm over capacity. So, and what that feels like for me is like, I'm tired
mhm,
and when I'm doing my normal things that like fill my cup up, that give me energy, I feel like unmotivated to be like, oh my God, why did I do this, sort of thing. And I know for me, that's a sign to like reevaluate like what's going on, and like, where have I said yes that it would be lovely to help, but this
mhm,
is not the
mhm,
right season, if you
mhm,
will,
mhm.
to do that. And I think it's something, I'm 45 now, and I noticed this pattern maybe 10 or so years ago. So I try and be more thoughtful, and instead of just automatically saying, yes, I'd love to help with that, saying, hey, let me think about it. Because like, my
Nice.
heart wants to
Mhm,
say yes, but that
mhm,
doesn't mean that I have the capacity, whether it's from a time, a knowledge, a financial, like,
mhm.
to always like jump in. And I make pretty quick decisions. So for me, the practice is actually slowing down
Yeah.
on making the
Mhm,
decisions, and
mhm,
like looking at, okay, what's on the calendar, what all is needed if I say
mhm,
yes to this, and then do I have whatever it is, the time, talents, and treasures to like actually fully show
mhm.
up. Because I definitely don't want to half show up. Like,
Yeah, and this
that does
is
not feel good to me.
yeah, and this is a great skill, by the way, right? And I'm so glad that you have this awareness. And while you were sharing this story, I was, well, you know that I'm Gallup Strength Certified Coach, and I was just like, well, probably Rebecca has responsibility in her top 5, because people with high responsibility, they have the tendency to say yes, and then they realize, oh my God, no. But well, you said yes. That means that you have to follow through. You have to finish, right? And this is how we are finding ourselves overwhelmed, being busy, and bearing responsibility for others. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you share that you have that skill to slow down, reflect, and see, okay, so do I need to be involved? Yeah.
I'm working on honing that skill. I think that's going to be like a lifetime, a lifetime
Mhm.
skill I'll always work on. And to just a comment, like, there are some times where I've had some pretty uncomfortable conversations, because I said yes. And to your point, I wanted to say, okay, I said yes, I have to do this. It
Mhm.
was not going to work out like if I did that. So I had to have some uncomfortable conversations and say, I'm so sorry. Like I overcommitted. I will help you find someone that can execute whatever is left, but it can't be me. And I was super nervous to have those conversations, but man, did it work out better on like all parties involved when I was willing to like have that really uncomfortable conversation and admit that like I didn't make the greatest decision for all of us here.
Yeah, but also it's a skill, right? And yeah, this is a very powerful one. And we were talking about the balance, we were talking about harmony, but if you can think about a business that feels right for you, not the one like people are sharing on Instagram, laying on the at the pool, drinking something in the middle of work week. Like, what does that actually look like in a normal, quiet Tuesday? Like, when you think about the business that feels right, what is it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that for me, like if I talk about my business, why I'm sure it feels right is because I'm serving and I'm serving where we can make a really big difference, where we can help them. We're working with businesses that are doing good in this world. Like they're all here to make a positive impact in some capacity. So having some like mission alignment between ourselves and our clients is huge. And to your point, making sure that whatever season I'm in, like we're working at our fullest capacity, but not over capacity, right? I mean, those are all things that make it feel right for me.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. And before we wrap up, I want to end on something fun.
Okay.
If this chapter or season, like you were naming that, the season of your journey had a theme song, what would it be? And why does it fit where you are right now?
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. Okay, a theme song. Okay, I think right now, this is going to sound corny, but it really does. Also, I just came off of a really great vacation. We just hired some new people on our team that are going great. We just got some new clients that are going great. I really think, and it's sunny and 80 degrees in Indianapolis today, but I think I'd really have to go with that Pharrell Williams song, like the I'm Happy song. Like it just feels it feels like everything is coming together. Like right now, we're in one of those seasons where it's like, okay, all these things that we weren't sure if they were going to work or when they were going to work, like it's all is starting to come together, and we're starting to see like what's next.
Yeah, and I love it for you too, because you know that so many women, they're sharing like they have a theme song, I'm Survivor or something like that. But well, I'm pretty sure that you are happy because you have that song as a theme song. And I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed our conversation and the wisdom and some advices that you shared and perspective you brought in the framework of having harmony, not the balance, right? And I think that so many women are going to hear themselves in some part of your story, especially in the process of learning and unlearning things and how they trust themselves and finding their voice and build something that feels successful without losing themselves in that process, right? So I'm so grateful you joined us today. And for everyone listening, if this conversation resonated with you, make sure to connect with Rebecca. I will include all her information in the show notes. And thank you so much for being here with us on the Inside Out Shift. And if this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone who may need to hear it too. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.